Hello everyone, welcome back. In this video, we're going to write a program that declares a function that takes a number as a parameter and prints whether it's an even number or odd. So here is my function. I'm using the def keyword to declare my function, and I'm having the name of the function called check even odd, and I'm having one argument for this function that we call it number. It could be x, it could be y. We can get to choose this number, okay? And this function is basically checking to see a number if it's even or odd. In order to understand if a number is even, we need to do a division. So this is a definition of an even number. When a number is divided by 2 and the remainder of this division equals 0, it means that that number is even. Otherwise, that number is odd. So let me write it down for you. If a number is divided by 2 and the remainder of this division equals 0, it means that number is an even number. Otherwise, it is an odd number. So this is a definition of an even number. So if a number is divided by 2 and the remainder of this division equals 0, it means that number is even. And if a number is divided by 2 and the remainder of that division does not equal 0, that number is an odd number. Okay? So for example, when 10 is divided by 2, the output of this division is 5, but the remainder of this division is 0. So we understand that 10 is an even number. But when 11 is divided by 2, the remainder of this division does not equal to 0, is not equal to 0. This is why 11 is an odd number. So now we want to define a function that checks whether a number is even or odd. To do that, we are having one if-else condition here. So the number that is passed to this function, we are having this operation on that number. So this number is divided by 2. And we are checking to see if that number that is passed as an argument to this function, it is divided by 2. And it's the remainder of this division equals 0. We are checking the if condition. If this happens, print even. Otherwise, print odd. So it checks to see if a number is passed to this function. That number is divided by 2. Its remainder equal to 0. If this statement is true, then this part is true. Then it is going to enter this if condition and it is going to print even. Otherwise, it is going to print odd for us. Let me illustrate it with an example. So I call this check even odd function, and I'm passing number 10 as the argument. And I'm calling this function one more time, and I'm calling the function, I'm passing the argument that is 7. So let me run the code. So when I run the code for the number 10, I see even in the output. When I have the number 7, I see odd in the output. So one thing to remember is that I'm using the modular sign here. So the modular sign is going to return the remainder of a division. So this number is divided by this number. When I'm using this modular sign, it means that if this number is divided by this number, print me the remainder. Okay, give me the remainder. So when I'm having, let me illustrate it with an example. So when I have 10 divided by 2 here, when I run this code, you see number 5 in the output, okay? 10 divided by 2. But when I have print 10 modulo 2 and run this code, we have the output 0. What does it mean? It means that if 10 is divided by 2, the remainder of that division is what number? This is 0. Okay, so this is how the modulo sign is going to help us to understand the remainder of a division. It was a very good example. And now we see that here I'm having this block of code being executed whenever we call this function. Just imagine that we were not using the function. So I'm calling the function 2 times using 2 lines. Okay. And this part of the code is written only once. So if I wanted to not have a function, and every time that I was checking a number to see if it's odd or even, I had to write these 4 lines. So whenever, for example, I want to check 10 numbers, each time I had to write 4 lines of code. So 10 numbers multiplied by 4. So 40 lines to check 10 numbers if they are odd or even. However, here I'm having only 4 lines being written only once. And when I'm calling that function, I'm just using 1 line to call this function to do the mathematical work for me. So if I want to call this function 10 times, it will take 10 lines plus these 4 lines that are written only once. It will be 14 lines of code. However, if I want to this mathematical operations, these 4 lines for 10 numbers to be checked, the result will be 40 lines of code. And this is just a simple example. So it is very useful to use functions to reduce the repetition in our code and therefore increase the readability. Thank you for watching.